Welcome back to the Daily Nugget, Daily Property Insights. One topic, 20 minutes or less. Myself, Lotze, and joined by Tom Rawson, a real estate advisor. And Tom, the question for you today is, let's talk about FOMO. In 2020, in the New Zealand market, FOMO would have been one of the biggest words on every single stuff news or in the NZ Herald about there was driving the market to go almost ballistic, to use that term. And people were going in and buying because they just felt like they needed to. But it feels like in 2022, FOMO is no longer around or exists, and things are changing a little bit about this eagerness just to buy for the sake of it.
Yeah, mate. I do remember like 2020, I missed out on a property and then I bought kind of the next one that was available because the one after that probably would have been worth more because the market was trending upwards so quickly. So I was a victim of FOMO as such, educated purchase nonetheless, but I was much like everyone else, like needed to buy today because tomorrow or next month that you'd be paying more. Yep. That's kind of changed obviously with the way the market hasn't. It used to be like that. Now it's probably more like that in terms of trending.
Yep.
And so FOMO gives buyers more time. A lack of FOMO, gives buyers more time, and they're using that time wisely to make really informed decisions. In the past, it wouldn't have been uncommon for someone to not see a house in the last 2 years, no lockdowns this year, hopefully. And so people couldn't see the property, but they'd still be bidding at auction. So you've never seen a property, but that's the ultimate FOMO. You're buying it sight unseen. Yeah. This year, you're going to go and see the property. You're going to see the property. You might take a builder through the property and do a building inspection. You might take your parents through the property if you're they're helping with collateral. You might take your mate who knows everything about property like you along and have a look through. So we're facilitating more inspections to the same people, which is fine. This is a normal market. We've been in a crazy market in these crazy unprecedented times, and now we're heading back towards a normal market where it wasn't uncommon for someone to come to the open home, then do a second inspection during the week, then arrange for their building inspector to come along. Then they might put an offer subject to finance. The bank says they've got to get a valuation. And all of a sudden, as an agent, you've been there 5 times. As an owner, you've had to take this, get the house ready maybe 3 or 4 times, get the kids all out the door and get people through. This is the normal, like we go back to, before 2020, this is what happened, 3, 4, 5, 6 inspections to the one buyer. Every one of those kind of compounds their interest in the property. So it's kind of like progressing along. You're not going to go to the property 6 times and probably not buy it from an owner's perspective. Do get the house nice and tidy. Don't get frustrated. But yeah, these buyers, they're being picky. If we can say that they're being picky, but why wouldn't you? You've got more time, so you've got you can, like anything, Lawrence. I think if you're cruising on the motorway at 100 k's an hour, the damage could be worse if you make a little mistake. But if you're cruising through a car park at 10 k's an hour and you ding into something, it's going to be less damage. So these buyers, they're using that slower speed to have a bit more of a look around and make more informed decisions. But yeah, I mean, how crazy is it to think everyone's buying property sight unseen?
I'll put my hand up. I did that in 2020. In 2020, I bought one, and the only time I saw it is after I bought it. I'm based in Auckland. I bought a place in Whangarei. And then the worst of all was I settled. I could see the property, and we went into nationwide lockdown the next day. So I had to drive down the day before lockdown, go and see it, lock it up for, 6 or 8 weeks, hoping that no one would break in or do anything to the property because I couldn't do anything. But one of the craziest things was obviously of 2020, people are going to go, okay, why was there FOMO and what has changed, right? Biggest thing you got to remember in the 2020, to anyone that's just getting the game and didn't feel that vibe going on, was we were in lockdown. We had nothing to do. We had all our holidays planned. We had all this. A lot of people had the cash money ready to do things, and all of a sudden you couldn't do anything, but you had this cash spare. So that's where it sort of started the whole thing of, hey, why don't I get into property or take the 50 grand I was and go to Disney World and throw it on a $300,000 investment, and I can get it back a year later or if I wanted to, and so forth. So this all started, as well as people sitting at home, nothing else to do. The big change that I see personally at the moment now in 2022 is we're closer to normality. of people are back at work, people are moving more, your lives are busy, your kids are back at school, chaos is going on. Yeah, fingers crossed. We wouldn't have seen anyone that's on the audio. Tom did fingers crossed for normality. So life is going back to normal. So you don't have that whole time of just sitting and got nothing else to do. So let's buy a property. But also in the last 90 days, there's been massive regulations and rules that have been brought in to prevent this whole crazy bubbleness, to reduce them. If anyone who wants to know, just go look back at some of the previous episodes. We've covered that off. Interest deductibility, triple CFA, and a few other rules as well to bring it down. And as Tom said, now we sort of seen the 2018, 2019 of a normal process of looking at a property, considering it. I mean, Tom, in 2020, you wouldn't have been able to have bought a property outside of a city of yours and had enough time to fly down, go the weekend, look through it, speak to the property managers and do all that sort of stuff. You had no chance because they were selling so quickly. In 2022, you totally could do that, of give yourself 2 to 3 weeks and have a potential still to buy that property.
Yeah, mate. I remember my neighbour. We were talking over the fence in one of the lockdowns. So as you do, you kind of get to know your neighbours a lot better. And he was looking at buying a place in the Coromandel. I'm in Auckland, and he goes, "Look, we can't get down there." I think we had the Auckland border maybe was still up then, and so he was competing with people that could see the property outside of Auckland, and he was buying the property from inside of Auckland, not being able to see it. But he didn't want to miss out, and so I remember, we were on a group call with the auctioneer, and it all happened, kind of thing. He didn't end up buying it because he didn't have that level of comfort because he hadn't seen it. So sometimes you just legally weren't allowed to see property. Not even having enough time. You just couldn't physically move. So this year, why wouldn't you pop down there? I mean, you've been stuck at home in Auckland. Of course, if you were buying in Whangarei or Rotorua, you'd cruise down there, have a look, maybe stay the night because you've been stuck at home for 2 years. So I think people are taking that luxury as well and going, I'll go see it. I'll go kick the tires on it and see what it feels like. And with that, obviously, you can get a certain level of attachment to the property once you've seen it. This is pretty good. Oh, they didn't show that on the photo. Oh, that's great. There's definitely more reason to take your time, and the current market allows for that.
Yeah, totally does. And thanks so much, Tom, for that. And for anyone else that's listening or watching at the moment, depending where you're coming in, if you've got any questions or queries about it, please drop it in the comments below. Or if there's any topics you'd like us to cover, just let us know and we'll cover that off in the future episodes. But as always, thanks for coming over to the Daily Nugget, Daily Property Insights. One topic, 20 minutes or less.